You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm like friendship. Oh, how
You know what time it is. I'm raw with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. Yeah, you know what time it is. Come brawl with them boys of the fall. Covered in gray and scarlet, massive. Stiff arms to your jaw, we breaking it. We sick of seeing you clowns with the crown, we taking it.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devin. That's Mello. And boy, we got a show for you. Now, I know we are going against something that we probably shouldn't be. That's the Cavs game right now, which it might be on my TV in front of me. I don't know. I'm not going to either confirm or deny that. But still, man, we got some information, a lot of recruiting insight for you tonight, some other insight about the guys going out to California doing some training, and some other good insight about the Ohio State football program. But first, Mello, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm great. I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to get to talking about what we're going to talk. We have a banger of a show for you guys. Shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone supporting the channel, supporting Buckeye Boys and Scoop. Scoop had it first, by the way. Just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out Ryan Day's Championship Beard. I think he puts this every time I say it. He always types it in here. When I started a YouTube show, that's something I went back and forth on. Like, hey, man, I want like a saying at the beginning. And Mello will tell you, dude, we went back and forth on finding one. I don't know what it is, man. But when I watch shows, some of them have sayings that they always say at the beginning or something. And when you hear it repetitively, like I start to like it. So, I like saying it. Now, I don't know if you guys like hearing it or not, but you're going to hear it forever and ever and ever, because we're always going to say it, man. Shout out Ryan Day's Championship Beard. But man, a lot of good things going on in the Buckeye atmosphere. It's what we always talk about, man. But tonight we're going to hit some recruiting things. Chat, we appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget to hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already as well. Take this time, man. Go share this feed on your X, your Instagram, your Facebook. And for those of you that are a little bit confused, man, me and Mello, we're the Buckeye Boys. We're now over here on the Buckeye Scoop channel as well. We still have our channel, which we are also streaming on right now. This is not a normal thing. On Mondays and Thursdays, we only stream on the Buckeye Scoop channel. But today, kind of filling in a little bit for Kirk in Nevada. So we decided to share on both of our channels. So if you like what you hear from us today, go over and check us out. Buckeye Boys with a Z, because we thugs. Not really, but it's just with the Z because we thought that'd be cooler. But let's dive right into this thing, man. Recruiting. What the Buckeyes are doing right now on the recruiting trail has a dynastic feel to it. And honestly, we've always done well. We've always, had top 5 classes under Ryan Day, but there's just something about this year that feels a little bit different to me. It's a big time different coaching staff. Coaches have different positions and things like that. And we just won a national title. So you're expected to have some momentum there from that. But not only that, but, just Ohio State with the culture, the academics, the football, the fan base, everything about it, the city of Columbus. It's just an attractive place for recruits to come. So I want to start off, man. Sincere Johnson, across some of the websites and stuff, he's the number one recruit in Ohio on some of them, between him and like Elbert Hill or whatever. Big time player, number 3 linebacker. On a lot of recruiting sites. He gave us top 3 today. It's between Alabama, Ohio State, and Penn State. In an interview, he said that these are 3 of his dream schools. He dreamed for playing for all 3 of these schools when he was growing up. On the Ohio State side of things, I will tell you that Ohio State really, really wants this kid for a very good reason. He is a dynamic football player, very, very good. And they are not treating him like an Ohio kid recruit. They are treating him like they would any other recruit. Why? Because he's that good. He's a national player. He's good enough to come here and make an impact on this team. But Arvell Reese, he's a Glenville product, same as Arvell Reese. Him and Arvell Reese are very good friends. There's a couple crystal balls in for him to come to Ohio State. And we know that Glenville pipeline that we have, right? You know, I'm not sure that's going to affect him much, but I think what will affect him is the fact that Ohio State is putting him on the top of their priority list. Mello, what's your thoughts on that?
I believe he's going to be a Buckeye. I'll put out a boys boom right now and say that he's going to be a Buckeye. I think the connection with Arvell Reese being his best friend, Arvell giving him the lowdown about how everything operates at Ohio State, and really it's the combination when it all boils down to is the combination of James Laurinaitis, who to me is the best linebacker coach in America, and the culture around Ohio State football that's going to keep him home and in state, and they want him. He's a top priority right there with Tyler Atkinson. So I'm looking forward to his commitment, if he does commit to us, which I believe he will. And it's going to be exciting times. LBU is back, baby.
It really is, man. What James Laurinaitis is doing from a production standpoint on the field in his first year, I mean, you couldn't ask for a more perfect specimen to have than Sonny Styles. So if you want to see how good a coach is, have him bring a safety into his linebacker room the first year he's a linebackers coach and watch his progress as the year goes on. I mean, that's a reflection of Sonny Styles as a football player and also James Laurinaitis as a linebacker coach. And then you look off the field at the recruiting. I mean, Riley Pettijohn, Tarvos Alford, two of his top targets in the class. He did not miss on anybody. And then gets Eli Lee, too, an Ohio product. Different time of linebacker, but a good player in his own right.
And just think about this class, Dev. You could end up with CJ Sauna, Sincere Johnson, and Tyler Atkinson. That might be the best linebacker class probably in history of college football.
I mean, yeah. So we'll switch over to Tyler Atkinson. I was going to go somewhere else, but we'll hit up Tyler Atkinson right now, man. He on an interview today that he had with someone, he said that Ohio State was his number one school as of right now. And when asked why, he said, just because they are, was his answer to that. His interview, he really didn't give a lot of information. All his answers were like very, very generic answers. But, go watch his highlight films. This dude is an impact player. The day that he steps, he will be fighting for a starting job at whatever team that he comes to. He is that good. He's number one on Ohio State's board as far as defense goes. Their number one defensive player that they're after. Georgia's really, really after him. He's visited them several times, and a lot of people are just assuming he's going to pick Georgia, but it's going to come down to Ohio State and Georgia. And as of right now, he said Ohio State is the leader. You could take that one or two ways. You can take that Ohio State is the leader, or you can take that as what a lot of recruits honestly do. I'm not saying he does this, but the discussion's out there on whether this is a nil play. You know what I mean? To put the pressure on Georgia to maybe up their offer a little bit or something like that. We've seen players try that with Ohio State before. A certain player that signed with Tennessee last year, Ryan Day, saw through that. Didn't happen. I do not believe that to be the case. I'm not one of those people on the message board saying that. That is not my belief here. I believe that if he says we're top on the board, we're top on the board. There's one reason for that. It's James Laurinaitis.
So with that, I'm literally 3 miles from Grayson High School, where he goes to high school. That's where I live right now. What I could tell you about this recruitment, because I might have a little bit more inside knowledge, Tyler is not a kid that plays games. Just think about like Jeremiah Smith, Chris Henry. They're about their business. He's a cultural fit. And honestly, up until last football season, Ohio State was the leader. And then he made, I think since 8th grade to up to now, he's been to UGA in Athens about 15 times. And during the fall, Kirby had flown on his private helicopter to Grayson High School about 5 times. And he still comes out and says Ohio State is the clear leader in his recruitment. So if you think about that, he's been to Athens 15 times and he's only been to Ohio State, I believe, 6. That last visit for the spring game was his 6th time. And we're the clear leader. That sounds like as much as UGA has been doing, they still have a lot of ground to make up. And I don't know what more they can do. It's not an NIL play. He's getting NIL wherever he goes. And honestly, you already heard what Coach Day said to Pate. You come to Columbus, obviously you're going to make money. It's the fastest growing city in America. The real estate is booming. The economy is booming. Tech companies are going there in drove. So he's going to get his money from Ohio State. And as he proves it on the field, he's going to get even more money from the companies that want to sponsor him. So in terms of earning potential, it's not even a comparison between Athens and Columbus. So if it's about NIL, then check Columbus. If it's about getting coached by the best linebacker coach, check Columbus. So that's all I have to say. I think he was being genuine.
You know, this brings up a topic that me and you talk about all the time, because in today's recruiting, money gets flashed around a lot. And the truth is, I'll just say the truth for me. At that age, if money was flashed in front of my eyes like that to go play basketball, the sport that I loved, I'm not sure I would have been able to think about anything else. I think all I would have been able to think about is that money that's in front of my eyes. And that's what's so important about, you know, when you see the types of recruits that Ohio State is recruiting, they're able to see past that. They don't get stuck on that money, these offers that are right in front of them. Why is that? I believe it's because they have the support group around them to teach them and show them the right way to go about this. Like, you got this $1 million offer in front of you, but you also got this offer over here that's maybe $500,000. But let's look deeper into that. Let's look 3 or 4 years down the line to the aspects that you talked about, Mello. Let's look at the Jeremiah Smiths, who didn't take the biggest offer, but is now currently one of the highest paid college players to this day. Why? Because he's doing it on the field. You know what I mean? He's doing that. So you come to Ohio State and you put yourself in that type of position to get on the field and make an impact, you will make just as much, or if not more, than any other starting linebacker, starting receiver, starting quarterback, starting offensive lineman, whatever it is. You're just not going to get that money from Ohio State up front. You got to come prove it. And that's the world, man. Nobody gets handouts in the real world. So Ohio State, Coach Day's main objective, raise these players to be men. That's his first objective. Objective number 2, win football games. You got to do 1 before 2 is going to happen. If 1 didn't happen this year, we would have never won a national title, because you can't win a title going through that much pain and sacrifice with boys. Only men could have done what happened last year. The heartbreak of losing to a rival and losing to Oregon and hearing the fans lose faith in them. You know, you got to be a special type of individual to push through that stuff and come out the other end a national champ. And when we're interviewing these players, that's what you see, man. So Ohio State's not going to go after Tyler Atkinson if he's not one of those people, not one of those guys that is about his business. He's about becoming a man. He's about playing football. He's about focusing, and he will get rewarded for that if he comes to Ohio State and does what he does. So it's a good thing to see. A lot of momentum, Ohio State. A lot of things going on in college football with NIL anyway. I think that's changed recruiting a lot today, with a lot of teams. They can't be telling players how much NIL they're going to be give them, because they don't even know how much NIL they're going to be allowed to give them. So I got another player to bring up, man. And this is so let me see if I have an example of Quincy Porter last year. This is one of my Quincy Porters of the year, because last year, man, before anybody was ever talking about Quincy Porter, me and Mello, we did a breakdown of wide receivers, and we said, dude, this is a top 3 receiver in the nation. And he was ranked like 200 or something like that. Well, I got another one right now that I'm very excited about. Recently got an Ohio State offer, and it went under the radar as far as the fan base. And hopefully, we can kind of open your eyes a little bit to a 3-star defensive lineman, Jameer Perez, out of Glenville. Just set his official visit to Ohio State for June 20th through the 22nd. He's the number 25th player in Ohio, but to me, listen, I haven't watched all the D-tackle film in the nation, but it'd be hard pressed to find one that has as much potential as he does. He's going to be in that more of an elite group in my eyes. He's 6'4", 360 pounds right now. I'm about to play his highlight film, Mello, and we can talk about that. But keep that in mind when you're watching this dude on the field right now. You're watching a 6'4", 360-pound. I don't know how old he is. What, 16 years old?
Yeah.
Something like that. 16-year-old. This just
17 at oldest.
Yeah, this blows my mind. Here we go. Let's see him. He is your typical one tech. He's, his job, keep the linebackers clean and take up space, man. Think K-Mac, think Tyleek Williams. That's what he is, man. And I love his film, and I really, really, really hope Ohio State gets him. And again, I'm nobody special as far as breaking down film and understanding prospects and whatnot. But one thing I do a lot of, and that is watch film. And this film excites me when I watch it, when I watch this individual at 360 pounds move like this.
As I was watching this film, he's like a dancing bear. He has violent hands. He'll drop. His pad level is pretty good. He can eat double teams. He can get off of double teams, which is pretty insane. And he gets to the quarterback and he stuffs the run. His main thing is stuffing the run as a one tech and eating double teams. And as I watch his film, all I think about is the potential defensive line class that we could have with him as the one tech. You have Deuce Geralds as the 3 tech, who in my opinion is the best defensive tackle in the country. And then you have PJ Dean as a defensive end and Aiden Harrison as another defensive end. That is an insane haul for a defensive line class, and it's all possible and probable at this point. If I had to say and give my opinion, I think we definitely get 3. We'll see about that Aiden Harris and what's going on with him, but I think we could lock that up as well. So this is going to be a special class, and I know everybody wants to give LJ hate about his recruiting and the lack of numbers, kind of something similar with Fry when he was here on the O-line. But he is the GOAT, and he does develop, and kids know that.
Yeah, for sure. That's something I wanted to bring up as well is, LJ and his recruiting. But first, me and Mello don't disagree much, but I will just disagree with you on one thing. And it's because of something I read here recently and several other things. I think you said Aiden Harris, right? The Harris brothers, they come in a package, those two.
Yep.
I think Ohio State has cooled on them. At least that's the information that I have. I could be wrong there. I know that once upon a time, people were putting crystal balls in for Ohio State. So who knows? We haven't spoke to them, so who knows? But just wanted to throw that thought out there as well. But,
well, then, okay, how about this? We'll take out Aiden Harris and throw in Luke Waffle.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to get to right now. And it's this. It's that you see all this recruiting momentum, right? You see the offensive line recruiting get fixed. We know that Ryan Day, when he sees an issue on a team, he fixes it, right? And from the outside looking in as a fan base, we're sitting here watching all this recruiting momentum, seeing all these official visits get scheduled on all these position groups, seeing these offers, seeing these kids come in on visits. And all of a sudden, the fan base starts freaking out about defensive line recruiting. Why? Because you got the class of, 23 and 24, where the numbers weren't quite right. And then Larry Johnson last year, I think, brought in a very good, I gave him an 8 out of 10 on his class. A lot of people aren't too thrilled with what he brought in last year, but he brought in the numbers and he brought in some potential difference makers this year. Zion Grady and Jarquez Carter can help the team this year. If not this year, definitely next year. That's a win in my book. But My point is that I'm not going to believe that if we are lacking in something as far as defensive line recruiting, that Ryan Day is going to let it go. Everything that he does and says points to the opposite. That if for some reason defensive line recruiting is not living up to Ohio State standards, Ryan Day will fix it. He will make something happen. And I think he made that happen this year. I think he brought in some new coaches. You see what he did with the coaching staff. And I think what's going on is, sometimes the media and message boards can kind of form an idea about different coaches. And Larry Johnson is, number one on the Beats board to get out of here. I don't know how else to put it, man. Every single year it's his age. I'm sure he's not going to come back this year. It's something. Where does it come from? Thin air. They just pull this crap out and they start talking about it. So I don't know what the agenda is. But my point is that me and Mel have been doing some research because we're going to do a defensive line recruiting video here soon. And it's looking a lot brighter than what I even realized until I dove in, started asking some sources around me, some sources really close to the team about defensive line recruiting right now and what the momentum is. And they are A-okay with what is going on right now in defensive line recruiting. They think they're in on a lot of recruits. There's a lot that we're in on that nobody has any idea. And that goes on every position group. I'm about to bring up another offensive lineman right now that I have never spoke his name, but we made his top 5 today. And after calling a source and asking about it, he could very well be a Buckeye. So fans and even insiders don't know everything that goes on inside that program. So let's wait and see, right? Wait and see what Larry Johnson does this year. But I'm just here to tell you that when Ryan Day sees something that's not living up to Ohio State standards, he corrects it. And I don't think there's anything to worry about, So to stay on the recruiting and specifically defensive line recruiting, Tyson Bacon, a former Tennessee D-line commit, 6'3", 263, scheduled an official visit to Ohio State. He's the number 34 defensive line in the nation, number 297 nationally. And there's a lot more out there. A brand new offer just went out for a defensive lineman, Emmanuel Ruffin, Alabama, 6'4", 290. He's like number 450 nationally. So offers are going out. Effort is being put in, and we will soon have a list for you about all the defensive linemen that have official visits scheduled. And you're going to be surprised, I promise, about how many 4- and 5-star DNs are taking official visits and how many big-time D tackles are taking official visits. So we will wait and see for that. Mello, you got anything to add to that before I go talk about this new
No, we could save the defensive line for when we do the show. I don't want to give away too much. Got to have them have a reason to come back because we do talk to recruits, believe it or not, and they tell us a lot. They really do. We will never tell you their names, but they've told us, like, some recruits that we told you on yesterday, some recruits that had Michigan in their top 5, they told us they weren't going there because of the scandal and the possible punishment that's about to come down. They didn't want to be a part of that. So, like, we won't give you names, but that's a fact. That happened. We have kids that ask us to stay on and stay on after so they could tell us how much they love Ohio State, but they're not going to say that live. Why? Because it also hurts their brand. It brings down their negotiating power. Ohio State's in on a lot of players that you guys really might not know. We could easily end up with the number 1 class in the country.
Yeah, for sure. A quick side note, man. I see people in the chat like, yo, where's Kirk in Nevada? What's their schedule? No disrespect. Listen, this is a rare occurrence. We are filling in for Kirk in Nevada tonight. They couldn't make it for various reasons. We are not Kirk in Nevada. We understand that. We have a different style show. We're kind of newer to the YouTube world here. We're trying the best we can, but nothing has changed with their schedule. You will see them at 7 o'clock every day, pretty much except Fridays. As far as I know, today's a different look. Like I said, we go on Monday and Thursdays here on Buckeye Scoop, and then all our other normal shows are over on our channel, Buckeye Boys, the other YouTube channel over there. So check us out. Mello, I totally agree with you, man. We'll just have to wait and see, right? What the end result of this is. Offensive tackle Samuel Rosenborough put out a top 5 list today, and to a lot of Ohio State fans' surprise, including mine, he is a top 80 player nationally. By the way, his top 5: LSU, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida State, and Texas. Made a call, did a little research. Was told that Ohio State could be as far as in his top 2 and as low as his top 3. And I got told not to be surprised if this kid ends up a Buckeye. And he has not been on my radar. I haven't heard Mello talk about him. So Coach Bowen, man, still out there doing his thing. Again, just because you make somebody's top 5 doesn't mean much. But I made those calls, did that little research. We're actually on this dude, and him and Coach Bowen have a tight relationship. It's just not something that's been reported and talked about much. So,
Dev, we're going to have to hit up Felix and tell him you better hurry up and get in this class before there's no more room for him.
Mello, I told you, man, I've been trying to tell Buckeye Nation what's going to happen to this offensive line room this year in this class is naturally I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gets pushed out. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got a 6 or 7 man offensive line class this year. And yeah, roll your eyes, call me crazy, stupid, whatever you want. You'll see. You'll see, because they're not playing, dude. Ryan Day went out and hired 3 offensive line coaches. Okay. Yep. So I don't know if you need more evidence than that, but Ryan Day, he's not having this having to go in the portal all the time for offensive linemen anymore. He wants the foundation, which I don't think is a bad thing, honestly. But he doesn't want to be in this position anymore when they got to go in the portal and snag 4 or 5 offensive linemen just to hit their numbers. It's not going to happen anymore with Ryan Day. I promise you that. So I wanted to backpedal a little bit and talk about a certain person that just committed to the Buckeyes, because I want Buckeye Nation to understand something about him. And it's going to lead into our next topic as well. But Caden Dixon-Wyatt, a receiver, from California, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mater Dei High School.
Yeah, Mater Dei High School. He just committed to the Buckeyes. You go look at the recruiting rankings, and he might not be as high as what he deserves. And I know you can say scarlet glasses, yada, 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 but this isn't me. I'm telling you what I have heard from other people that aren't even Ohio State fans, but they are really in on recruiting. They're evaluators of players. They've held the job as evaluating these prospects. And this is Mello, I know you're not going to agree with this, but dang, dude, his name. So what are the receivers we have committed so far?
Chris Henry Jr., Boyd.
Chris Henry Jr. and Caden Dixon-Wyatt, I was told, are the top 2 receivers in this class, and they're having trouble deciding which one's better right now. So, I know that is a statement to make.
I don't agree with that one.
I know. Listen. I read it and I heard it too, and was like, ooh. Chris Henry Jr. is just an absolute monster, but that's not the point of me saying this. The point is how big a deal Caden Dixon-Wyatt committing is, man. I said He was the number 1 receiver. He's the number 1 receiver. You got anything to add to that, Mello? Or you just dumbfounded that I would say
to
that?
me, it's Caden Dixon-Wyatt is a number 1 receiver on any other team that doesn't have Chris Henry Jr. in this class. As long as Chris Henry Jr. comes back healthy. A 100% healthy Chris Henry Jr., he's going to have a similar effect to defenses that J.J. Smith had in terms of being 6'7". He's pushing 6'7" right now. He said he's going to get on campus at 225, and he runs a 4.3 40. I mean, that's ridiculous. And think about, if you're a DB, think about all those DBs at Oregon that were supposed to come to Ohio State that are now going to have to face against our wide receivers. And then when they go to their combine and they meet with these coaches, they're going to say, how'd you do against the Ohio State wide receivers? Because we all know that's what they ask them. They don't care about any of your other film. What did you do against Ohio State? And think about how many of those kids' draft stock are probably going to plummet because of that, because they're going to get abused. You're not going to be able to double. There's not a DB on Oregon that could guard JJ one-on-one or guard Chris Henry one-on-one. And I'm calling it right now, even though he hasn't been here. And you're going to get exposed. Like, you're going to pick your poison. You could have came here and developed against them every single day and gotten better with iron sharpening iron, and then going out to the games and just absolutely dominating without breaking a sweat and just raising your draft stock. So it's going to be interesting next year when they come get on campus.
Yeah. You know, a year ago is when I started digging into these 2026 recruits. I mean, me and Mello did a video about this a year ago about the receivers. And I remember Chris Henry Jr. committing, and I'm like, holy crap, this is wild. And I watched a lot of the OT7. And as I'm watching that, doing my research, I had two other receivers' names that I was like, dude, if we get and honestly, I was thinking there's no way we'll get either of these two. But Brian Hartline's trying, but there's no way. We already got Chris Henry. Nobody's going to pair up with him. And it was Jabari Brady and Caden Dixon Wyatt. Jabari Brady committed to LSU, I believe. And then Caden Dixon Wyatt just committed to us. And I'm just like, dude, this is ridiculous. Now, I know OT7 is not real football or whatever, but go watch his real football tape and go watch his OT7, man. I can't tell you how many OT7 tournaments I watched, and the announcer said, this is the best receiver in this tournament. He would make some crazy one-handed catch, and they would say, this is the best receiver in this entire tournament. So we got a dog, man, and he's getting to his business already. Let me show you something, man. He's already in this, already becoming a Buckeye, already getting in with the team, getting with the quarterbacks that are potentially going to be throwing to him. Boom. Check this out, man. This is a lineup right here. Now, this is out in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And what you got going now is this is the difference in college football now, because this is what Neil has done to the sport. Shout out Nevada Buck over there on Buckeye Scoop, Nevada. I know you're not on tonight, but I'm going to share your information with the crowd. He dropped a little bit of a nugget over there on Scoop about this trip right here. So what I'm about to say, this is all information from him. Neil has given these players an opportunity to go out here and train, like get ready for the NFL type training. This is where Kyle McCord went. This is where other players go to train before the draft and before NFL. But because of Neil, these players have agents and marketing agents, and these marketing agents set up these throwing sessions at these big facilities to create like marketing opportunities and all this stuff. And, you know, back in the day when college football players got a break, it's like, hey, man, let's go to the beach. It's party time, dude. Not the Ohio State, man. These are all Ohio State players right here. This is Julian Sayin, Lincoln Keenholz, Max Clare, J.J. Smith. But the coolest thing about it is they're able to travel out to California. And guess who gets to join them? Chris Henry Jr. and Caden Dixon Wyatt. They're two recruits that are committed to the Buckeyes right now, are able to go and train with these guys in this environment. And I just think that is just the coolest thing ever, and speaks to the culture that is at Ohio State, the brotherhood that is at Ohio State. So, Mello, speak on that. And then I got a couple other little nuggets. Shout out Nevada Buck again, that happened at this event.
The first thing that stands out to me is Chris Henry Jr. is the biggest player in this whole picture. Max Clare is about 6'4". JJ is almost 6'4", and he makes them look tiny. Now, imagine this lineup. First off, this is going to be the most elite picture ever. Whoever took this picture better have gotten an autograph from all of them while he still can before it explodes. But imagine this lineup with Chris Henry Jr., about 6'7", Jelani Thurman, JJ, Ennis or Mason Graham, Mylan Graham, I'm sorry. And you got Caden Dixon Wyatt. You also got Desi Jones. You got Quincy Porter. You got Brandon Ennis. That's probably going to come back. Carnell Tate should be gone. He's going to be a first rounder next year. And either Julian Sayin or Tavian St. Clair or Lincoln Keenholz throwing the ball to these guys. How do you stop that offense, especially how we're recruiting running backs?
Yeah, I don't know. We are blessed.
Yes, and we're returning most of our starting O-line should be back as well.
You know what's
minus
crazy
Ethan.
is, yeah, so let's go with J.J. Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis. Those are going to be our 3 starting
Yep.
receivers this year. Those are all NFL receivers, right? A lot of first-round draft picks there. We'll see what Brandon Ennis does. He has the potential to work his way up to a first-round draft pick, regardless what you believe he does. So then you go and you look at, okay, so who's going to replace these guys? All right, so we got, for Jeremiah Smith, we got Chris Henry Jr. coming in. Look at those two right there in that picture. It's just like, okay, I see that, right? Chris Henry Jr. can be a Jeremiah Smith type of player.
Yep.
And then you're like, all right, who's replacing Carnell Tate? Well, I want you to look who's standing right beside him. That's Caden Dixon Wyatt. They look like the same person, man. Same style playing, same everything. And you're like, all right, well, who's replacing Brandon Ennis? Well, look at Mylan Graham sitting there with his arms crossed right there.
No shirt on.
No shirt on. I mean, it's just like, dude, Brian Hartline is just, and listen, one of the nuggets from this thing right here is something we've already talked about. We saw him in the spring game, but Mylan freaking Graham is going to get a lot of playing time this year. You know, I'm being told by the end of the season, this dude is just going to be talked about a lot. And you saw the potential in the spring game. He came in late last year, so he wasn't able to, you know, kind of get that head start in the program like a lot of these other players did, like Jeremiah Smith did and stuff. But he even said in his interview he's more comfortable now. He's been here, you know, for a full year now almost, and he's going to be elite. But, dude, in the title I put Sayin's growth to start, man. This was something that, you know, I think Nevada put in there. This was kind of set up by Julian Sayin, and the star of the show was Julian Sayin, you know, and they're up there getting trained by trainers that train NFL quarterbacks. And, you know, what was funny is Clade Kubnick and the Clemson players, they were there before them. And like, these guys are waiting for them to get off the field, you know, and the Clemson quarter, I can't say his name right. What's it? Cade?
Yeah.
Cade. Yeah. So Cade's like projected to be the #1 draft pick next year on a couple people's boards. And I was told that Julian Sayin was, you know, they got to, whoever said this got to watch them back to back, one first, then the other one next. He was out there throwing darts just like he was. And he looked like he was spinning the ball like a franchise quarterback. That is a quote from, you know, the nugget that Nevada dropped over on the Buckeye Scoop message board. And then also the trainer made a statement about Lincoln Keenholz saying that he believes he has a lot of NFL potential as well. For those of you fans out there that like to say and think that Lincoln Keenholz could never play a snap at Ohio State, I'm not one of those, and I strongly disagree with you. And I'll tell you who else does, Ryan Day. So I don't know if you think you know more than him or not, but let me know if you do. Should I have said that, Mello? Maybe not.
Nah,
but
that's
anyway.
Fine. You got to add personality in this thing, brother.
Yeah. And another thing, man, Brandon Ennis, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, they're the leaders of this offense, man. They took this thing over. Jeremiah Smith, known to be more of a by-yourself type of trainer, about his businessman, coming out of a shell, becoming a leader of this team. It really shone in this event right here. Mello, anything to add to that?
No, I just think we're in dynasty mode. You heard it here first on the Buckeye Boys and Buckeye Scoop. We're in dynasty mode. It's official. So just prepare, because this 26 class is just going to get better.
Yeah, 100%. So a couple little football, but non-football little tidbits here. And again, dude, this is repetitive from me and Mello. Let me get this picture off here. This is repetitive from us, but we always talk about Ryan Day and his culture. And, you know, I can talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but, you know, maybe it's because me and Mello are just have gotten a little more connected to the inside of the program and understanding how real this culture is and how real these things are. Because, you know, when I was a fan, that's hilarious. Before I started in YouTube and made the friendships and the connections that I have, there was always that thought in the back of my mind that, oh, this is just an article. Oh, they're just saying this because that's what they want. Oh, they're just saying this because that's what they want recruits to believe. I'm here to tell you that's not the truth. They're saying it because it's true. And everything is backing that up, from the things you don't hear in the off season or off field from our players. They're not getting speeding tickets and all this stuff. And just today, we find out that Ohio State has the only football team
Division One football team with 1,000.
Division One football team to have the perfect APR score of 1,000 for multiple seasons in a row. That's, and this is something that's based off of academics, retention, graduation rate, the whole 9 yards. They are the only Division One football team. Last year, I think Ohio State was tied with Harvard, but with Harvard, yeah, I said that. You heard that right. But this year, we have just taken over the only football team to do this for multiple seasons in a row. And if you have to question whether this culture thing and what Ryan Day says in his interviews is true or not, the Bible says to, you look at the fruit that's grown from the tree. That's how you judge a man. Well, judge him by his fruit, and you're going to start to love Ryan Day a lot more. Mello?
I don't even know how to follow that up. I mean, that was perfect. In terms of the culture, it's a real thing. We ask these players off camera. Sometimes we ask them on the camera. When you step into the Woody, because you hear this terminology, the brotherhood, is that real? Like, can you feel the aura coming off this team and this program? And every single one to a T, every single player has said absolutely. As soon as you walk in, you feel it. It's different. This is their words, not ours. It's different there. Their practices are different. The O-line love that there's 3 O-line coaches, all who have recruited them at various times and stages. They love it. They love that the teaching is the same from all these coaches. They love the linebacker coaches. The linebacker players love Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. They love how Riley Pettijohn is playing and TJ Alford. They love James Laurinaitis. They love Matt Patricia. This is a thing that they don't talk about. When Jim Knowles was the DC, he wasn't involved in recruiting that much. He was quiet, how he is, how you see him at his press conference. He wasn't engaged. So as a recruit, a 16, 17-year-old, 15-year-old kid, and you want to go somewhere that feels like home and family, right? If you're a defender and you go here and you're the DC, the head coach of the defense, doesn't even really talk to you like that. But then you go to Matt Patricia, and it's the opposite. Matt Patricia's engaged. He has deep plans for all these kids. He's showing them how he's going to get them prepared to not only go to the NFL, but to thrive, whatever position it is, because he just wears all those Super Bowl rings, and he's a genius, literally. So at the end of the day, the kids love him. They love the aura. They love the culture. They love the face-based nature of all these kids. They love that they had the revival on campus. People said, I know you could attest to this, Devin, because we talked about it. People said that them showing their faith made them soft. And all these kids, the recruits said, no, that's wrong. Showing your faith and playing through your faith made them hard. And that's exactly why they could bounce back from that October 12th loss and that November 30th loss to go on the greatest run in college football history to win a national championship. They won all their games by double digits. They really wasn't close. The only reason the Texas game was close is because we had self-inflicted wounds and we still won by double digits. So take that into consideration when you see kids like Tyler Atkinson saying Ohio State is his clear leader right now, and he's only been there 6 times. When you see kids like Deuce Gerald's wearing Ohio State gear all the time. When you see Felix Ojo wanting to come back all the time and putting Ohio State in his top 2. So the proof is in the pudding. And like Dev said, watch the fruit.
Yeah. You just brought a thought up into my mind. I think we've said this before, but as far as Deuce Gerald's goes, Mello's always told me, he's right around the area. He's always told me that high school was really pro OSU. And, when he took his scum visit, everybody was giving him his heck. Well, found out some information that their athletic director of that high school graduated from Ohio State, and Deuce Gerald's trainer at that high school also graduated from Ohio State. Man.
The principal graduated.
The principal?
Well.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. So he's surrounded by everybody every day. If he's not wearing a Buckeye shirt, he said he gets a lot of crap, man. So again, man, I love winning, right? As a fan watching football, I love Ohio State more because they win so much, right? But there's a part of me that will always, love the Block O, love Ohio State for more than just that. And it's the behind the scenes type of stuff of how Ohio State can affect young people's lives in a positive manner. That's a way bigger deal than winning a football game on the field. And I get it, man. As an obsessed Ohio State fan that is absolutely obsessed with watching them play football, the truth is that the thing that's more important is what Ryan Day talks about, and that's raising and teaching these gentlemen that join this program to become men, to be a better father one day, to be a better husband one day, to become leaders in a broken world, man. And you see that happen, man, with the faith that they have and the baptisms on campus and whatnot, and it's sad to see. I mean, even some fans saying, well, I don't want them to have the faith that makes them soft. Not only fans, but a couple shows and other people that report on it made the same type of, accusations. And, they don't let that get to them, man, because their faith is strong and because they've been surrounded by a culture that teaches them how to handle that type of stuff. And no wonder you see these Buckeyes succeed in the NFL, because the NFL, that's where the rubber meets the road. But you're on your own. You're a man. You know what I mean? It's a business. It is business, man. We had Vernell Brown Jr. on Pop's Pod the other day, and he said that is the difference between a, what do they call an agent that represents NFL versus high school. We said not all agents should be agents for college players, because agents are used to making business deals. When it comes to nil deals in college, it's not just business, right? These are young men, and everybody's going to use the excuse where they're getting paid now. That's irrelevant, man. It's about the point in time in their life. They're young men, right? Take yourself back to that age and be honest with yourself. Were you a man when you were, 15, 16, 17 years old? Could you make all the right decisions in your life and handle things correctly? No, you had to have mentors in your life to lead by example and teach you the right things to do. And that's what Ryan Day's number one motive is. And it's not just a saying, man, it's real. Like I said, the more that we dive into this thing, the more proof that we find that everything they say is true. But I wanted to get that positive stuff out of the way before we go to a little more. This is our last topic of the show, a little more of I don't really like talking about this. Maybe it's not something so fun to talk about. I'm sure all Ohio State fans have read it and seen it today. The Jim Knowles interview, right? Over on ESPN. He talked about a lot of the details. And Mello, I will let you start off on this and I'll come in second.
So Jim Knowles is upset that we didn't offer him a new contract in the middle of the playoffs. Just think about that. Think about October 12th, what happened. We could connect the dots. I don't care what anybody says. There was an issue between Jim Knowles and the rest of the staff, and even some of the players didn't feel tremendous about him. October 12th, the defense was absolutely unprepared for that game. Oregon was not in the same stratosphere as it was proven in the Rose Bowl as Ohio State. They were unprepared. They were doing too much. They put too much in. The players were confused. They couldn't play fast and free. So here comes Coach Day. Goes in the defensive room. The man's changes. Steps on certain people's toes, I guess, if that's what you want to say, but that's his job. He's the CEO of this franchise, of this organization. Wherever this ship goes is going to be because Coach Day steered it there. So he demanded changes. It hurt some feelings. We change it because he demanded it. The defense ends up being the best defense in college football. We saw what happened in the Team Up North game. Will was not 100%, so we'll leave it at that and move on. They changed the offense with Simmons getting hurt, with the Remington Award winner Seth getting hurt, and we made it happen. and we went on a historic run. In the process of going on a run, coming off the worst loss probably in Ohio State history, you have a DC who doesn't get along with the staff. Some of the players, they love him, but some of them are like, it could be better. Wanting to have contract negotiations. If that's not ultimate selfishness, I don't know what is. That's clear that he does not fit the culture that we're trying to set here. And good riddance. And not only that, he reached out to Penn State. They didn't reach out to him. They didn't think they had a chance to get him. He initiated that. While we're on a playoff run, I'm glad he's gone, and I'm happy for the upgrade in Matt Patricia, who all the players love. They have a passion for him. You could even watch the interviews and see how they speak about Matt Patricia in comparison to Jim Knowles. It's night and day. People could say whatever they want. I'm always someone that says, watch the actions, not the words.
Yeah, so, just to kind of narrow this thing down, I read the entire thing. Mello hit on a couple points there, but a couple of the highlights that really threw me off, honestly, was that, Jim Knowles said that he tried to negotiate his contract before the national title game, and Ohio State would not do it. They didn't want to talk about it. And I personally do not blame them. They're focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's winning a national title. I don't know everything that goes on there. I'm not hip to when contracts should be negotiated, and there's nothing to go on. This was the first time a 12-team playoff ever went this late. Well, Jim Knowles decided that, hey, I want my contract figured out before the national title game. And these are his words, and he said, that's what started it off as, hey, I don't like this. So they didn't make an offer, and he reached out to Penn State and asked them about it. James Franklin even spoke up in there and said he wasn't even sure if this was real. He wasn't sure if they actually stood a chance here. And then Jim Knowles went on to make a couple, Jim Knowles said that, I can't remember it. I think he said that he was not invited to the parade.
Yep, he did say that.
Right. And this was before. So Ohio State did come offer him, right? Not as high as Penn State did or anything, but a lot of money. They did try to extend him and offer him a contract. And Jim said before he made a decision about whether he would go to Ohio State or Penn State or wherever, he said the reason why he chose Penn State ultimately is because he didn't get invited to that parade. And that's what threw him off. That is my understanding from reading the article. And maybe that is me reading into it a little bit, but go read it for yourselves and tell me what you think. That is what I gathered from it. And, I appreciate Jim Knowles, everything that he did, but I think Mello hit it on the head there. I just, I think that might have, think if you're Ryan Day, the head coach, and you have a coach that, keeps just nagging and bugging and wanting this contract figured out before the national title game. And you're sitting here trying to not only get ready for the national title game, but the portal's open. Dude, look at all the things that Ryan Day was having to deal with in that time. And I know that's part of his job to kind of get that stuff figured out. But I don't know. I don't have a lot of information. I don't know if any other coaches got their contracts figured out before the national title game. If they did, and like Jim Knowles was the only one, then I could understand why Jim Knowles would be a little upset. But I don't think that's the case. I think nobody had their contract figured out. Look at all the changes and contract extensions and ups and hirings that were made after the national title game. And, listen to all Ryan Day's interviews. I don't know how many times he said he's focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's winning this national title game. Look at the history that the Buckeyes and Ryan Day have been through in big-time games. It's the details that matter. So he wanted to focus on one thing. So, it's all very, so once I read that, I came out of that feeling a little not okay with Jim Knowles and how it figured out, but I've only heard one side of it. I don't know all the details, but I want to lead more towards Melo's feelings, but I'm just the type of person, I sit back and wait and see. Not that it even matters at this point in time. I love Matt Patricia. We'll wait and see what happens on the field, but I'm thinking a lot of good things are going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're
with Matt
hearing
Patricia.
from
Yeah,
the
and
recruits.
and that's the other thing. We know for a fact there's an upgrade in terms of relationships with recruits and players. Jim Knowles wasn't big on that. Matt Patricia is. The culture at Ohio State, number one for Ryan Day, is these men. And I just don't think that quite matched up. And, if I want to read into it, I'm going to say that's probably what was the holdup with Ryan Day. He probably wanted to sit down and have that conversation, being like, hey, look, here's what needs to happen here. That wouldn't happen. But Ohio State did offer him a new contract, not as high as Penn State. And Jim Knowles also said in that article that other teams offered him the same that Penn State did. A couple other teams did, but he chose Penn State because that's where he's from and other things like that. So very interesting to hear Jim Knowles' side of it and hear those details.
It's going to get real interesting in Columbus when they show up.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I hope the student section absolutely gives him hell while he's here.
The article also went on Jim Knowles. The article really hit on the fact that Jim Knowles brought all his information over, like his scouting report of Penn State last year, a scouting report of Drew Allard and whatnot. And James Franklin and Drew Allard spoke up in the article as well and talking about how much that scouting report helped him. And they think it's going to give him an advantage for the Ohio State game this year. And I'm just like, dude, it's a different defense. We got Matt Patricia now. I mean, we got a rocket scientist for our defensive coordinator, but whatever. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Don't have anything else. Tomorrow on our over there on the Buckeye Boys channel, we're supposed to get another recruit on. We'll see if that happens. Thursday here on Buckeye Scoop. You do not want to miss that show, man. Monica Daniels coming on. Gonna be awesome. An amazing lady. Spoke to her on the phone a little bit. She's excited to come on, talk to us about recruiting and her experience with Ohio State, and maybe speak on the culture thing a little bit. And you can hear some inside wisdom and knowledge and experience, and not just from us from the outside talking about it. So Mello, any closing thoughts or statements?
Oh yeah, don't forget Pop's Pod. They come on the Buckeye Boys channel on Fridays at 8 p.m. That is Duke Pettijohn, Riley Pettijohn's father, and Daniel Sanchez, Devin Sanchez's father. They host a show to try to help families that are going through the recruiting process and to not fall for the pitfalls of recruiting and get tricked out of long-term development and long-term money for the short-term money and short-sightedness. So go ahead and support those guys as well. They're Buckeye family. Their sons are going to be integral into this upcoming season. And we appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Kirk and Nevada will be back tomorrow. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching us.
Yeah, but we got Jabir Perez, the defensive tackle we just talked about. He'll be coming on next week. Felix Ojo's coming back on. Epi Citinelli is going to be coming back on. So got a lot of good things. We didn't even
talk about him in terms of the impact players for this upcoming season possible.
I know. Well, luckily we'll be on again sometime in the future. We can definitely talk about him, but he's about to be in Columbus. I'm about to graduate, come down and join the team. So it's exciting. But on that note, chat, we appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, man. Be sure if you're watching us on Scoop, go over and check our channel out. Don't want you to subscribe. Just to subscribe. Check out our videos. If you like our content, we're more of a recruiting based show. We're big on interviewing the families and the recruits. Just a laid back couple fans, man. Got a couple sources just from being in this thing for a minute. So we're very passionate, uplifting, faith-based channel, man. So go check us out. If you like us, hit that subscribe button and share this feed anywhere that you can. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
IO.